The New South Wales government estimates COVID restrictions are costing the state economy $1 billion a week. Some businesses in Western Sydney are struggling to hold on, as Jason Om and Raveen Hunjan report.
Across Sydney's COVID hotspots, business is either booming, going bust, or on the brink.
Western Sydney is like the engine room of Sydney.
It's been rolling with the punches and doing the best to keep our head above water.
On the ground in Western Sydney, work routines are again upside down. But for essential worker Ray Lee, there's a new sense of responsibility to keep the community safe. He deep cleans COVID exposure sites around New South Wales.
I'm an authorised worker. I'm actually allowed to drive across to regional areas, Wollongong and Orange, and sometimes Newcastle as well. If you don't follow the rule properly, you can easily become a super spreader.
Like the thousands of other workers who live in the hotspots, Ray is required to be tested every 3 days.
It was a little bit difficult to get used to at the very beginning, but after a couple of months, really now, living in the Cumberland area, it become a really helpful thing, right? Because you know that you are safe and you are being safe to the community, and your co-worker that's working with you are safe as well.
The company Ray works for has tripled its workforce during the pandemic, from 200 to 600, absorbing job losses from aviation, hospitality and the arts.
A lot of people got laid off, a lot of business are stopped. As a company, we are actually providing opportunity to all different types of people to be able to get them employed and get them back to the jobs, to basically put food on the table.
Now, with further lockdowns, we're seeing a lot of people coming back to us, particularly in those industries hardest hit, which would be the hospitality industry. There's been a greater appreciation and an awareness that cleaners are at the front lines, and they're in the fight against the virus.
Western Sydney is Australia's third largest economy and a crucial distribution network for the rest of the nation.
To have Melbourne and Sydney in synchronised lockdowns is a disaster economically for the country. Let's have some compassion for the people of Western Sydney. Okay, let's not deride them. Let's not blame them. Let's have compassion for the people of Western Sydney, because they are vital for us as a society.
One key business is fashion group Q, which owns several different brands and 180 retail stores in Australia and New Zealand. The heart of its operations is based in Western Sydney.
Even though we don't own the manufacturing base, we are Australia's largest manufacturer of clothing, and having those areas shut down has severely crippled our business.
About a third of Q's 1,000 workers have been stood down temporarily. Another 150 were let go last year.
We really are at approximately 5% of capacity, maybe. And unfortunately, because of the severe lockdowns, I've actually begrudgingly had to shift some of the work to our offshore manufacturing.
And while online sales have grown, it hasn't been enough to offset losses.
When you look at our total turnover, we're sort of towards like 40-odd% down.
The company received JobKeeper, but without further assistance, Q faces tough decisions about its future.
I would seriously need to be looking at what's going to happen in one more month. If there's no government stimulus or package, it would be good to have some sort of guidance from the government to be able to navigate the strategy moving forward.
Over in Lidcombe in Sydney's inner west, tough new COVID measures are in force at online retailer Booktopia.
We have about 120, 130 people working from home, and they're over it. So they want to get back to the office. And then we have people working at the distribution centre from 5 a.m. till midnight 5 days a week, sometimes on a Saturday.
CEO and founder Tony Nash says the pandemic has changed the way the company looks after its 270 workers.
You cannot afford to have your employees not be able to get up the next day or the next week with the same energy as they had today. They just burn out. They travel here in an environment where they could catch the virus. Everyone's got to take care. So it's just at this point, it's scary.
But with millions of Australians stuck indoors, there's no shortage of work for Booktopia.
It's a very bittersweet time for Booktopia in terms of people want books, so therefore our sales are very strong. Others are not, they're struggling.
You can see that hasn't been used.
Further west at Penrith, restaurant owner Vince Capilupo is worrying about Christmas.
This is our kitchen, where normally it'd be full of activity.
This panorama is the restaurant's best asset, but there are now few people to enjoy it.
This year, obviously, it's the second time now we've gone through this, but this is hurting the most. I've been self-employed for, more than 30 years, and I've never known it like this ever. There's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of we just had enough. We just need to move on now.
This area hasn't been used since COVID restrictions were announced. Breaks your heart.
If the Christmas trade is lost, then I have to seriously, in the new year, reevaluate whether it's worthwhile staying open or not.
Takeaway is still open, but bigger bookings have been cancelled and tens of thousands of dollars in government assistance has been slow to arrive.
They've just advised me that they run a little bit behind, so it won't be every fortnight, it could be every few weeks. It's just my loyal customers that are supporting us, trying to keep us afloat.
Can I first begin by apologising to all the businesses that did not receive their grants on time or did not receive phone calls when they should have expected phone calls.
With no clear end in sight to the lockdown merry-go-round, business needs certainty to move forward.
We've got to go for maximum vaccination, then we've got to rely on testing and on protocols that keep people as safe as possible while we get back to work.
For those that are struggling, it's tricky. It's this time around that the funding from the government is not as clear, so therefore it just doesn't feel as safe as it did a year ago with people going into lockdown.
I just want it to end. We all just want it to end. If we have to vaccinate our way out of it now because we're too far in, well, let's just get the quickest way to possibly do that, and then let's get out of this.